In a 1,000 square foot building in rural New York, a French immigrant is doing something that most American farmers would call crazy. But when you know the full story, it makes total sense. Let's find out the full story.
I would put them on the waiting list and wait for another 5 to be on that waiting list. That's what I would do. I would not act on it before we would have something seriously more relevant than 40 trays a week. We had the opportunity to expand. We thought about it. We put it on paper. We run the spreadsheets. We looked at what if we double, what if we triple, what if we go 10x. And in the end, we didn't do it because we are about as niche as you can get. We're in the microgreens niche, but we also are in a specific marketing niche where we cater to a very specific type of customer. And that's where we have found success. I don't think I could just wing it and replicate big success doing farmers market or selling wholesale or selling to distributors. And therefore, I just don't feel confident that it was the right move for us at that point to expand.
Vincent Cuneo runs a small farm, bringing in roughly $350,000 to $400,000 a year. But when opportunity knocked, he decided to put opportunity on a wait list.
I know why I work. It's not just for the business. I want to be good at it. I want to perform. I want to do the best I can. And I want to go see my kids at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and not stay at work until 7:30.
6 years ago, Vincent was broke. He was a French immigrant with no farming experience, living 2.5 hours from New York City, the city that never sleeps.
Nervous is an understatement. We were broke. Yeah, we were broke and, we didn't know if we were going to make it.
A few years later, he had a business that brought in around $230,000 in revenue, split between two partners.
We're two partners in this. It's not like I
Right.
work with my wife and we take all the profit home. Money was tight for the first 3 years.
But Vincent and his partner brother-in-law, Luke, had discovered something that others had missed when it came to growth of a business.
We've realized also that the way that we've approached it with who we sell to and what type of customers that we're trying to target makes it so that it's not that easily replicable. So some say eat the rich, but I say feed the rich. This is kind of our business model here. Yes, food prices are up, but there are so many people in New York City who are above those considerations. I'm not above those considerations. We make a pretty modest living still at this. It's a big blessing. We make a living out of it. But for many of our customers, this is not a big problem.
March 2020. We're in the middle of that thing, and restaurant sales, which were 10 to 15% of their business, were gone overnight.
I think in 2020, at the beginning of the year, restaurant sales were maybe about 10 to 15% of our top line. So losing that really wasn't a big deal. And then business picked up real quickly in retail, supermarket sales. Since then, we've just kept cranking it for supermarkets, and we've only picked up a few restaurants here and there when really the opportunity was good. Yeah, the make or break was COVID. Because when we lost a few restaurants we had, we knew that we had to just crank out the retail clamshells and just get more of it.
Instead of retreating, Vincent doubled down on retail.
We didn't change everything. We just went and grabbed another 15 accounts over the course of 18 months and maxed out. It was just hitting the road, giving them free samples, showing up, paying for the buyback credit. It was a game of patience.
In an industry in a world that's pushing for automation, Vincent made an expensive choice. He decided to continue to harvest by hand.
We have come to the painful conclusion that we cannot automate and use machinery for harvesting and packing microgreens. Because of our quality standards, we've consistently tested and then refused to use any machinery. So we don't use any quick cut harvest cutters, we return them. We do everything with very sharp ceramic knives by hand. And this way, every time that we harvest a handful, we can look at it. And if there's anything wrong with it, any dead little thing, it can be removed or it goes to the bin and it's not packed. I think it takes us 12 hours of labor with a crew of 3 per week. So that's 36 hours, got roughly 400 trays, say 40 hours for 400 trays. So on average, 10 trays per hour. So 6 minutes. So it's horrible. That's not where we make money. That's our biggest cost in the business.
At roughly 6 minutes per tray, it takes a long time and it costs a lot of money.
For us, because we are located on the shelf of a grocery store for days and days, I mean, many of our products have more than 12 days of shelf life and some have more than 16 days, where it looks perfect at day 16. You just can't get that if you automate it.
But it gives him a competitive advantage. And when your competitors' products barely last a week, and when yours lasts 2 weeks or more, it makes all the sense in the world.
You're after the repeat customer. You don't want someone to buy it once. You want someone to buy it every week or twice a week. And I know for a fact that that's the case because many of my produce managers tell me about those customers who show up and the shelf is empty and they complain and they say, "Where is my stuff?"
30 retail locations, all independent stores, no chains.
We have customers that have been purchasing from us for 5, 6, 7 years every week. Sales have gone up every year at all of our locations.
At 400 trays per week, Vincent had maxed out his space. The logical move, expand.
The risk is low sales. The risk is high capital investment. Yeah, it's low barrier to entry, but it's not nothing. You still have to have the infrastructure in place. Utilities, a lot of shelving, a lot of power consumption, all the gear that goes on the shelves and the trays and the capital investment to get started on growing a lot of trays on a rotation.
But instead of expanding more into microgreens, Vincent's building something entirely different.
Now, our genius idea there is to diversify the company. So we want to have another fairly profitable business. We've built a facility just next to our microgreens building. We spent 2.5 years doing construction and we spent a year learning how to grow specialty mushrooms and our sales are picking up. So that's our plan. That's how we were going to complement that. And that's how we're going to make it to the next level. To me, like the long-term project of building a diversified organic farm is really the vision, and that's where the fun is.
Let's be honest about what this looks like.
Yesterday at 5 o'clock, I was watering the greenhouse. Nothing's automated here. I was watering the microgreens trays. I've watered millions of microgreens trays. It's no fun, you know? And we've been doing deliveries to New York City, leaving at 4:30 in the morning and then loading the truck and coming back at 6 at night and doing 23 stops. I mean, we've done that for years and it's ridiculous and it's not fun at all. And now we have a 30-year-old guy who really needs the job and he's doing it. I'm here at the farm when he comes back. His eyes bloodshot from driving for like 14 hours straight. And I mean, it's just what it is.
After 6 years, each partner takes home somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000 in their share of the business per year. Not bad.
We take more than 50 grand home, each of us, but we're not making 6 figures. It's not like we have plenty. We're all right. It's rewarding. It's meaningful. Like, I know why I work. I don't know, I think fun is overrated. I have the temperament where I like to start a business, not to run it.
Vincent isn't chasing the biggest operation. He's building something else.
We think we can have like a little legacy building project there. I think that's something to give like good perspective. We're still not rich. We're still scratching and clawing. It's still a very small business. So I don't know. I would say it's been good overall.
Sometimes success means knowing when enough is enough. Thanks for watching the video today. I'm Diego, Diego, and if you want to listen to more content about growing microgreens with Vincent or other great growers, check out our Growing Microgreens podcast, which is linked to below. If you enjoyed this episode, let me know what you thought about it. Leave a comment. Thanks for watching, and until next time, be nice, be thankful, and do the work.